Mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi. And she yells, oh, girl, you gotta hear this one. A man was arrested for running a theme park. And when they said, where's your license? He said, my dog ate it. Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on her Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, girl, you gotta hear this one. Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, you'll never guess what's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, girl, you gotta hear this one.
Hey everyone, I don't know why that reverts to that. How is everybody doing? Long time no see. Can y'all hear me? Because I want to make sure that this works. I'm trying new headphones because I got headphones for my birthday. So I'm going to give them a shot. We will see what happens, how long I can tolerate them. But I want to make sure that y'all can hear me. I think the audio says it. Sweet. Thank goodness. It's one of those things that I can barely hear myself. So I'm like, weird. And thanks to all the 15 people who are hanging out with me this afternoon. I went from having 200 people, 190 last stream. 25 minutes later, we only have 15. I love you guys. I just find it funny because I like those streams because the topic is interesting to me and I feel like it has a larger impact on how it will affect YouTubers in general or at large. However, these are the streams that really matter to me because these are the streams that affect real people's lives. That case that we talked about a little while ago, that case will affect some people's lives. That case will affect possibly my life as a YouTuber, but that case will not affect everybody's lives. However, this case and this situation, this NTSB stuff and the result of FAA changes and safety awareness and different programs, and the result of this, for better or worse, this will affect everybody who flies, everybody whose family has family that flies, anybody who has kids who fly, anybody whose kids that want to fly, be commercial pilots, be in the military. This hearing, although I feel like it's a lot of government BS, I feel like it is, it's important. And yes, not all aspects of it are entertaining. I'm not going to lie. Your best friend flies for American Airlines. Did you hear about the Southwest pilot that got caught with or arrested for a DUI trying to fly out of Savannah. Yeah, needless to say, he doesn't work for Southwest anymore. His LinkedIn still says he does, but however, this case affects everybody. That case affects some people. So, although I like talking about that case for some reasons, these things I feel like need more attention. Not a lot of people are talking about them. You see snippets here and there on the news, but to sit back and actually discuss it is rare. Is just rare. So I'm glad we're able to go through it, and I'm glad y'all are here hanging out with me. Hit the like button, share the stream out, share this to anybody you might know who would be interested in this. I am not an aviation expert. I was, for those of you who are new here or might be catching this on replay, who are not familiar with me. I am Squid Perco. I am an occupational therapy assistant by college background. However, prior to going to college, I was in the military and I was an aviation electronics tech on E2C Hawkeyes. So I have quite a familiarity with the inside and inner workings of military aircraft and civilian aircraft at that. Also, I did work at a civilian airline in college, as well as my mother worked for an airline, and my fiance and baby daddy, baby Squid's father, my toddler, who you will see on this channel, is an aeronautical engineering, or has a bachelor's in aeronautical engineering, and currently works in civilian aviation. So he is my personal aviation expert. And anything I have, any questions that I have, I ask him. So, drunk pilot's glad he was stopped. Yes. Safe for flying a kite. Unfortunate fact. Yeah. So, it's kind of one of those situations of like, there's my 99-cent elevator pitch on who I am and why I'm talking about this and why I think it's so damn important. What I don't like is I have a whole aviation playlist where this is stream 12. This is the 12th stream I've done trying to get through all 3 days. I call this the government circle jerk because this panel is a freaking elevator pitch, or like a 3-hour. They're talking about their CRJ for a little background on this panel. They're talking about the CRJ, and they're also talking about situations and hypotheticals of equipment that is not installed on this CRJ. As far as we are aware, the TCAS, which they're very heavily talking about, was working on this aircraft. This aircraft had everything working, but they were also not the ones who needed to get the hell out of the way. It's a lot easier to maneuver a Black Hawk than it is a CRJ 700. Just a size difference, and helos are a hell of a lot more agile. Also, when you're in a landing pattern, you can't just weave and bob and weave. You're kind of bound by ATC at that point. However, here we are. Hopefully this shit show of a panel will be over soon and we can move on to something maybe more important and more appropriate. This to me is one of the reasons why we're in debt. Government wasting money and wasting time. This is disrespectful to the families, in my humble opinion. All right, let's get on with this shit show.
Pilots reacting to RAs. I was curious about where those came from and how you obtained those.
Yeah, I gave some compliance data.
Okay.
The FAA, my program office has a monitoring program where we collect RA information across the NAS from 20 or so different locations. And this is to ensure, we collect it to assess and ensure that TCAS is performing as intended, and to track down anomalies when system behavior is, bad actors or systems aren't behaving as we anticipate.
And is that collected through NTSB data, like you were talking about for open source?
It's two ways, actually. We have data recorders at MODES radars across the NAS where we collect RA downlink through the MODES data link, and we collect corresponding surveillance to where we can rerun the scenario with the intruder aircraft from the surveillance data, as well as then the information from the RA downlink.
So could you remind us what was the overall compliance rate?
Well, for the large portion of RAs we see are your monitor vertical speeds, adjust vertical speeds. They make up about 62% of RAs we see, and that's a high compliance because it doesn't really go counter to what you're doing. When you break into the climb descends, which make up about 20% of the RAs we see in the NAS, you get about a 65-70% compliance with those. And then as you go closer to the terminal area approach segment deflate, you start getting a lower compliance when it comes to climb RAs.
All right, thanks, sir. I appreciate that. And I asked that to go to Captain Clow here. Of course, I know he was asked to do that for the PSA data.
You want to know PSA's compliance rate with RAs?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's very high, 97.7%.
Thank you. And how do we get that data? Just real quick.
Sorry, could you repeat that a bit?
How do we get that data? What do we use to get that down? I'm sure everybody wants to know that.
Yeah, we have a process that we followed for a number of years where RAs that are identified via FOQA are processed by a safety analyst. And the safety analyst reviews the actions taken in response to the RA. And if he can mark it as compliant or non-compliant, he does there and then. If there's any uncertainty, the event is forwarded on to the FMT, which is our FOQA monitoring team. And the FOQA monitoring team will assign a ALPA gatekeeper to contact pilots to gather context for the event. Now, the 97.7 could actually be a little higher for a similar reason to what Mr. Suchi was saying, that the preventative RAs, it's not always clear from the data whether the pilot's complied or not. So we didn't count those. But let me restate that. Those would remain uncertain.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Rice, real quick question for you on your PowerPoint you had up there in your simulation of it. And it seemed to me like the aircraft was coming right toward each other in that the whole time. Can you explain the relative bearing of that and how that worked in I'm using the word simulation there because it looked like it was straight on, but if you can see, when we watched the video, our aircraft was in a turn to the left, right? And the helicopter came and we know it impacted the CRJ on the right-hand side of the fuselage.
So I can only point to the fact that the data we received from the NTSB, that's what it showed, and that's how it played through the model that we created.
I'm sorry, I'm out of time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to clarify, I think possibly the name was introduced differently. Is it Mr. Suki? Suki or Suchi?
Suki, thank you.
Suki, thank you. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Dressler? Okay, I know the team wanted to recall him for one question. Mr. Dressler, you're excused. You can have lunch. To the U.S. Army.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Here we
Fascinating
go.
discussion on the future, where we're going with ADSB, and as an Army aviator and commercial aviator, I'm all on board on the technology that we have present today and where it's going to go
Don't
in the
give a
future.
shit.
But
Get
let's
on
go back
with
to back in time a little bit, back to
This is part of the problem. Like they're interjecting their own like as an Army aviator. Talk about that shit out in the hallway. No one gives a shit. Like this is where you will see me go from liking the judge in the last case to hating all government employees and telling them personally how shitty I think their behavior is. They're all taking the opportunity to pat each other on the ass while trying to figure out what happened in this accident in front of the families. The families are sitting in this room. Like, oh no. If you need anything, not to be not to be like this guy and tell you my credentials and shit, but I was on our rehab. I wanted to learn everything when I was in the hospital. I wanted to be the jack of all trades and the person that could be called upon for anything. I was on our rib fracture team. So if you need any help, I sent somebody else who currently has broken ribs a video of some exercises to do if you aren't being seen by therapy for rehabbing those rib fractures. If you need anything, message me. If not, great. You got it all handled. Good for you. No harm, no harm in telling me no. But if you do need anything, feel free to reach out to me. You know how. I'm more than happy to help because broken ribs are the worst. But there's also things you can do. So not to wipe my own butt here, or pat myself on the ass. But here we go. Speaking of patting people on the ass, here's Spawntrooper. How are you, my friend? Spawn, where are you? Spawn. Okay, he's here, but he's not here. Don't laugh, cough, ouch, the pain will be, deep breathe. Take some deep breaths. All right. Spawn is here, but he will get here when he gets here. We're just going to get started again.
the night of the incident. Captain Cloud, can you just...
Oh my God. Pause it for a sec. Oh my God. My God. My God.
What?
I freaking muted myself, and I'm like going to you. So hang on a minute. I'm freaking let me fucking shut up, fucking. And then I looked down and looked over onto the, and then I went, bollocks. I'm muted.
You you missed the perfect timing of your great the great entrance I gave you.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, because we were
So-
talking about the patting each other on the like.
Well, do it
Like
again.
how you
then.
guys are patting each other on the ass. I do have a question though about this stupid thing I'm supposed to blow into. Damn
I
thing
do wear
doesn't seem to
boxer
work.
shorts.
No, he's talking about his incentive barometer. Our lovely friend Jeff Grady here broke a couple of ribs on Sunday. So we've got many friends with broken ribs lately.
What the hell's what is it with you people breaking your ribs? I mean, look, if you're going to play with your
broken
loved
ribs from a
ones,
fall.
so, hello, testing,
least-
testing.
Hey,
hello. Oh,
can you
good,
hear
okay.
me?
Yep. Sorry.
No, I'm trying out the headphones for the first time today. A birthday gift. So,
You need to get professional headphones. I'm sorry.
They-
Or at
they're
least,
Bose.
or no, I'm not done speaking yet. You will listen to my words. Heed my words. You either need to get different earphones that we can't see, or you need to get little ears on top of those, on top of the rim that goes around your head. So there's little ears on top.
you want me to put some ears? Well, I have one tucked behind my ears because they're the Bose headphones that are supposed to be like super comfortable because I
Okay.
can't put anything in my or on my head for too long, otherwise I'll get a headache. So we're testing them out today. But it's we're testing them out. But when we got here, we were talking about this army mofo.
Oh God, I had a
little-
rank on some of the get.
No, he's one of those. As an army aviator, I'm all for the ADBS. Blah 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 blah. It's like, stop patting yourself on the ass. Like talking about the systems that you're excited to see in aircraft is something that needs to happen out in the hallway when y'all can shoot the shit. In here, in front of the families, mind your business and mind your time. But the incentives barometer, real quick. Send me a picture of it. I'm pretty sure every single one of them look the same. But all you do is set there's a little dial or a little thing on the side. Basically, you set it to wherever your therapist wants it to be set, or you think that your goal is to get to, and then all you do is put the thing on you put the thing in your mouth like a breathalyzer test and blow breathe out exhale your little heart out.
Oh, I had to do. Yeah, I had to do that. I had to go to hospital to do that. Yeah. Anyway, shit. What did I was going to say? Oh yeah. I am all over the place today. I was doing some admin. First of all, I would just like to say hello and good evening and good afternoon and good morning to everybody. This is your beautiful, as I haven't been introduced by this lovely lady. I am your spawn trooper. Yes, I'm a spawn in your side, and I'm also a trooper. Yes. I was going through some stuff, and I came across some interesting things that, funny enough, relate to an investigation like this. And
I just have to correct myself real quick. It's inhale incentives barometer, not an exhale. So it's an incentives barometer. So you inhale. I'm dumb. I haven't used one in a while. I had to think about the process, and I'm stupid. It's you inhale. That's why the little thing is not moving if you're exhaling, because it's not for exhaling. It's to get a deep breath in.
Okay. Well, there goes that thing that I tried to remember now that I forgot, because all I'm thinking about now is that bloody inhale and exhale machine in the hospital. Thank you so much for that complete freaking derail. I should not. No. No. Yeah. So I found some documents and paperwork. Now you need to let me finish this. Right. You carry on chewing and let me finish. Thank you. Right. So I'm going through all the paperwork and everything, and I found pictures, not just of my parents, but of myself many, many years ago. And believe it or not, I actually found a few pictures of me while doing jungle warfare training in Clap City, or Belize as they know it. All right. And I also found pictures of my parents, and my God, it hit a nerve. It hit that heartstring. And I swear to God, that's why I'm running a bit late, because I just needed to make sure that I was composed before I came on here. So yes, I am human. Fuck you.
I know you're human.
No,
I'm
not
one of
you.
the
I
few
just in
people who
general.
knows I'm human.
No, in general. And I also came across some documentation that we did an investigation when we was over in Iraq. And amongst all that documentation that I found, I shit you not, from 2003, right, was drivers in the Gulf, Army, fatigue, terrain, vehicle and equipment, BTA procedure, vehicle loads, passengers, breakdown procedure, do's and don'ts, desert driving, and you sure your maneuvers are known, book in and out. I can't believe I found this shit. And I can't read it. It's writing so small you need a freaking microscope. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, and I found some documentation with that was in regards of a incident that took place in Basra Airport, or BPOD, where a helo, or a helicopter, was starting up, and they forgot to remove remove before flight. On the rotors, what they'll do if there's high winds, especially in areas like that, sometimes you'll get sandstorms or high winds. And what they forgot to do was actually to remove the stabilizing ropes that you can tie down the rotors so they don't flap all over the place, and they don't, and they forgot to take one down, which was attached to the tail. And obviously with the pressure of the rotor going around, it caused a bit of damage. And then unfortunately for them, while there was, obviously this is all happening all at once, they're powering up, and the rear rotor caught the rope, and it tangled itself, and there you go. And yeah, that was an interesting one. And the thing is, who do you blame for that? Do you blame the ground crew for that? Or do you blame the pilots for that? Or do you blame both?
Both.
Exactly.
Because the ground crew is supposed to take that off, and then the pilot is also supposed to check.
Yeah.
So 2 people failed to do, well, it's more like 3 or 4, because even though one person is supposed to check, it ends up being generally,
Right.
someone always comes behind the person and does it, but the pilot's also supposed to check.
Yeah. Now that brings me back to this NTSB report, because that's funny enough, that's the answer I was actually looking for, which you now caught me off guard. So now I need to think about the others. Right. So basically, if both the ground crew, no, it's all right. It's all right, my dear. I'll get you back one day. I don't know when, but I'll just send you a memo and let you know it's coming. If both are responsible for the incident of that helicopter, then let me ask you a question about the responsibility of the ATC, the pilot, the training pilot, and the trainee in the PAT 25, because we cannot realistically, we cannot involve the CRJ in any of this. So and the ATC, so who's to blame? I mean, I'm throwing this in while we listen to what they're saying, but I'm throwing this in for a little bit of like a little niggly voice nagging at you while you're watching this, is that you've got the pre-flight book, okay, let me put my teeth back in. The pre-flight conversations between crew chief, pilot, training pilot, and pilot, her. All right. Then you need to take into consideration route plan, everything else, flight. Now, we've already established that her flight characteristics were up and down like a freaking yo-yo. She was also off track, so she was asked to come over to the left. We've established all that. They also used NVGs. We've established that. Now it comes to question is communication between not just 2 aircraft, but 3 aircraft. However, due to the fact that the CRJ was on final procedure, i.e. coming into land, and was approximately, what, 3/4 of a mile away from the numbers, all right? On a technicality alone, you cannot involve them in this anymore because it's been established who's to blame. The problem is you've got two little, if I may, 2 individuals. One's ATC, one's Pat 25. If there's a breakdown in communication, there's your first problem. If there's inside the cockpit, if there's a breakdown in communication, there's your second problem. And then it comes to equipment, TCAS, close proximity warning stuff and everything else. There's your third problem. Now, if you throw them in a blender, what do you get?
A whole bunch of crap.
And that's what we're listening to right now.
Yeah. And by any means, whenever you want to talk, you let me know. I talked for 2 hours and I'm ready to listen to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything to read out, I'll read it out. That's definitely not a problem. And if you need a break, just you just give me the signal and I'll flap my gums for it until you're ready to come back. That's not a problem.
I'm trying to get a video for Jeff here about an incentive.
Also, while you're doing that, ladies and gentlemen, Ewoks, Wookiees, members of the jury, the other day I sent Squid a video of the same freaking airport, the same 2 runways that were involved, and it was an absolute shitfest.
Pretty much.
An absolute shitfest. And then if she is able to play it, I want you to listen to the ATC controller. They have a serious issue with ATC there at that airport. Now it could be like a one-off wonder, or they've got a couple of people who work there at certain times who I personally think need to be tested on DNA, and that's not DNA on like DNA. And the DNA is a terminology it's rugs and alcohol. Okay. Because the thing is, what you have to understand, if you work in a high stress environment like an ATC, a cockpit, or you're a section commander, or you work in a section team where you have to repair, just like Squid here, you have to repair aircraft. Okay. Now, I mean, me personally, I used to walk around with a breathalyzer. Any drive,
So did my LPO. So did my LPO.
Yeah. Right. And every single driver, okay, got breathalyzed. Because the thing is, alcohol, you may think that, oh, I'll have 2 or 3 or 4 beers. I'll have 3 beers and a glass of wine, or I'll have 2 beers and a glass of wine and a shot. All right. That's nearly 8 hours worth of you sleeping and then making sure that you have a full breakfast and making sure that you hydrate yourself. It takes hours for alcohol to leave your body. You can wake up in the morning, got bloody hangover, got a headache, but you still got alcohol in your system. Don't forget, in the military, you don't wake up whenever you want to wake up. If I say to Squid, I want you on deck at 06:30, she needs to be there at 06:20 or 25 to make sure she's shape and shadow.
15 minutes. 15 minutes is on time. On time is late.
Yeah. So that's another thing people need to take into consideration. Are these controllers regulated by this type of tests, or this type of, because like so far, every time I hear real ATC chatter, except if you go to New York or El Guardia, you got that New York guy. I mean, he's hilarious. He is. But the video I sent you should be give people a bloody good example of, this is not a, how can I put it, an isolated incident. It's not an isolated problem with that airport.
That's true. And
No,
Jeff, thank you so much. I just checked my email and I got the gift list. Thank you so much for the birthday gifts. You are amazing. You are a huge
What's it like
supporter
being
of this
old?
channel. Shut up. I'm not old yet. Give me 3 weeks.
I love you.
I know. I know.
Still gonna pick on you though.
I know. I would ask you if you were okay if you didn't.
Wait till Pam gets her hands on you. My pretty Pam, she's gonna whoop you.
I know it's pretty. It's the Pretty and Petty show with the thorn in between two roses.
Oh,
Or what did somebody say yesterday? The Pretty, Petty, and some dude show. Jeff, Squish.
I resent that comment actually. I just realized that. I resented
Resent or resemble.
that. Fuck off.
All right, getting back into these. This is the. I'm gonna back this up 5 seconds so you can hear what I was like pissed about. What I kind of
U.S. Army.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fascinating discussion on the future and where we're going with ADSB. And as an Army aviator and commercial aviator, I'm all on board on the technology we have present today and where it's going to go in the future. But let's go back to back in time a little bit, back to the night of the incident. Captain Cloud, can you just briefly cover the configuration of the aircraft, the CRG 700, in terms of what capabilities it had for traffic advisory, traffic alert, traffic collision?
The CRJ accident aircraft had TCAS 7.0.
And was the crew equipped with ADSB in?
Negative.
Okay, we understand that maybe they had.
and none of this is relevant. None of it.
Why are
None
they
of
talking
it.
about that?
None of it is relevant, and that's what's driving me nuts. And that's why I have it on 1.7 speed, and they sound like chipmunks because that's all they're worth. Yeah, chipmunk time again. Because that's what their opinions are worth to me right now.
All right, you know what this sounds. You know what this sounds to me.
Sales
it sounds
pitch
like
2.0.
no, it's deflecting.
That's
it's like
true.
the military are deflecting, but for what reason? We already established who's to blame.
Well, and that was your entrance, because when he said that, and I was like, it's not important. It's like everybody's giving themselves a pat on the back or a pat on the ass and congratulating each other on being awesome. And I was like, speaking of patting each other on the ass, here's Spawntrooper. But then you were muted, so you ruined your entrance. I gave you an awesome entrance.
Be happy about that or fucking offended, but but then again, there's not much that offends me, so yeah, whatever.
Anyway, back to these people who don't.
I'm sorry.
And,
did I just totally mess your mind up there for a second? It just go,
and Jeff, that link that I posted for you is a video on how to use an incentives barometer.
Had capabilities the iPad as well. Is that not a capability?
What?
Nothing. I was just going to say, show that bloody video when you get a chance.
Guess
Can
what?
I sit on it and swivel?
It's a buy one get one free sale.
I want one like a trumpet, though.
What do you use?
No, the aircraft itself, the CRJ, does not have any certified ADSB in capability. We do operate with iPads, but we do not have an ADSB in interface with those iPads.
Okay, thank you very much. Going back to to Dr. Kunze, as we talked about the capabilities of the Black Hawk at the night of the incident, it was transmitting mode 3 alpha in Charlie as well as mode S in the terminal area versus in the area. Based on discussions we had earlier, can you describe what an ADSB in equipped aircraft would see with an aircraft transmitting mode 3 alpha in Charlie and mode S in the terminal area as such as DCA?
Yeah, glad to.
Can I
An ADSB
him?
in equipped aircraft.
No one cares.
Only mode C, mode S.
But that was a good question, though.
On an ADSB.
No one cares.
I know no one
The
cares, but he
ADSB
has got a
equipped
good
aircraft
question.
Only directly receives messages from other ADSB out equipped aircraft that are on the same link. So if it's on the other link or a mode C, mode S aircraft, it will not directly receive that information. However, there are systems on the ground, FAA systems, that address that gap in visibility. In the case of a mode C or a mode S transponder, the radar systems will see that aircraft, if that aircraft is in, not too low, is in view of a radar. That radar track will then be translated into something that's called TSB, Traffic Information Service broadcast, and that is then uplinked on the ADSB frequencies for ADSB in aircraft to receive. So what that translates to is a radar track on an ADSB in system with the associated radar errors, but at least it's present and information is available. And then if the other aircraft is on a UAT or the other ADSB link, there is a system called ADSR, which is automatic dependent surveillance rebroadcast, which is the same idea of translating from one frequency to the other through uplink on the ground. The big limitation, there's multiple limitations on this. But the most concerning one is that you have to be in range of one of those rebroadcast stations, which we are in dense environments. But as you move away from airports, you have less and less of those, and you may not actually receive that information.
Yeah, thank you. Just follow up. So just because I think it's been a discussion in a lot about the visibility of aircraft, and not that we always can't get better, and we can use that information for much more high fidelity things like actual traffic avoidance. On the night of 29 January, an aircraft equipped with ADS-B in the DC area would have seen the UH-60 Black Hawk the entire time. Is that correct?
Via TSB. If now I have not reviewed the TSB data the night of the accident, but it seems like we had a radar track of the aircraft the entire time, which means it would have been ingested into the surveillance broadcast services system that the FAA has. That's the FAA's surveillance backbone. That gets translated.
Oh, I just have to stop. It's nothing against this dude answering the question, but the freaking general who asked.
I'm not going to say anything on air, but I'll say something afterwards.
Well, you can say something because I'm getting a mommy. What'd you do? So you can voice your opinion for plenty of minutes. I'm getting the arm drag and the mommy. So I will be listening, but you do all the talking.
Oh, okay. Hello, guys.
Because I'm pretty sure you're thinking the same thing as me about the general that asked that question. He should have been. He's looking to deflect.
Yeah, and wait. Okay, let me reword what I was going to say. First of all, the questions he's asking, all right, is deflective. All right, he is trying basically to get these guys, get those clowns up there to say that like exactly what that guy just said. They were on radar. They were whatever. It doesn't really matter where they were. The fact that he is asking deflective questions only tells me is like he's trying to push the blame away from the army. And sorry, fella, 1 star, 5 star, 2 star, doesn't matter, right? The fact of the matter is you had a pilot who was being instructed or being what they call assessed on her flying skills, okay, and she had a bit of a chip, and you didn't have the equipment in your aircraft to warn them of any close proximity issues. And the fact that the ATC didn't really sort of like, step up and do their job in the first place, because if they'd have seen a helicopter on radar, right, and they'd have seen a plane in radar, they would have known by, what was that bridge, Memorial Bridge, Mine Bridge, whatever bridge, the last bridge, right, they would have realized, oh crap, they're getting too close to each other too quick. Like I was saying the other day, right, if you actually step out of the box and look at the descent of the CRJ and the approach of the Bat-25, and you look at you have to take into consideration of the speed of both aircraft coming towards each other. And here he is deflecting and talking and asking questions that are irrelevant and deflecting. What they should be talking about, and they should be getting in their fingernails into, is the fact that ATC and the radio communication and ATC and Pat-25 seem to have an issue of communication. And
as a general, I'm very disappointed in his lack of accountability for his people.
Well, he's a desk jockey.
Those might not have been your people specifically, but y'all wearing the same damn uniform, figure that shit out. Like I'm sorry. I lost my shit. I almost lost my shit. Like I just letting this dude talk. I couldn't. I could not. I had to interrupt because sorry. As we've known, I don't have a Black Hawk. If anybody wants to find a Skymark Black Hawk for me, that would be, or Seahawk, that would be freaking amazing. I haven't.
Wait for the noise and look out your window and look up. You'll see one. Sorry.
But for purposes, our 717 is going to be our CRJ. Our CRJ is going to be our Black Hawk, just for size demonstration. Coming in on a landing. This going up and down, up and down, up and down. One person had the right of way. One person is bigger, not as agile. One person not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Too high, too far away from their route. they're in the middle of the river. They're supposed to be on the shoreline, according to that pilot, all the way on the left right here.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if they saw him. It's not much they could do about it anyway. They were
Hang on, I need
screwed
to
either way.
interject. Hang on, I need to interject. Hold the plane in your left hand up. All right, that there is a CRJ. Okay, well, you need to go back a little bit. Yeah, that down, put it higher, a little bit higher. There you go. Right, now bring the other plane in your right hand there. Right. What? No, bring it up so you there you go.
Get a
right.
grip. So
Okay,
I didn't drop it again.
Right there. Right, take it back a little bit. Bit more. Right. You got a plane, left hand, descending on his final to land. Okay. Right. Okay, take it back up. Right. Now you've got Pat 25, a UH-64 Mike variant of the Black Hawk. Right, coming from left to right at a bouncy height. So you need to bounce it up and down a bit. Like, there you go.
We're so high tech on this channel.
Yeah. Now, if you take the helicopter back again, a little bit further, put the plane in your left hand up, and now we're going to go into slow motion and bring both aircraft together.
Ooh, this is like a pat your head and rub your tummy kind of situation.
And what you're seeing, okay, is that obviously the plane is a little bit, descended a little bit quicker, but what you're seeing is basically vertical speed towards each other, and not one person, right, has mentioned that yet. Is the fact that the plane was descending, the helicopter was flying, right? Say the helicopter's flying at 100 miles an hour, and then the plane was flying at 200 miles an hour. Okay. Right. Regardless of how you would have changed it, done it, the only way you would have got out of that situation is if the helicopter would have done an emergency freaking halt or like pulled the nose up, and the plane would have done a abort and then went around. That was the only way. And what gets me is the fact that at no time on the radio from ATC or anything else, if they did have that aircraft on radar and they were tracking it, why did the ATC not pay attention to it? Full well, there was a conflict of interest on. I'm not going to go into the runways again, but now you have a conflict of flight path between a helicopter on the helicopter route and a plane coming in at free. You now have a conflict of airspace, because the helicopter is way too close now to, it could have deviated in any direction. It could even get stopped on a dime. But the plane was already on his final descent. So he was already set up to land.
He was committed. He was committed.
Yeah. So why was there no communication whatsoever from ATC? Bum, 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 bum. There you go.
That's the $1 million question, and everybody's been,
because
not everybody, but
yeah, from Fabrice Consular, or whatever his name is,
Quincy.
He stated in the last 10 seconds of what he was saying is that the aircraft would have been on the radar. So here comes the 1 trillion billion million question. Why did ATC not see that and then try to stop what was going to happen?
Chris brings up a good point, but at the same time, so Chris brought up because the helicopter pilot said that he could see the plane and would avoid.
Yeah.
But here's the caveat to that. Just because a helicopter or an aircraft takes control and literally says, I will avoid, doesn't mean that ATC stops doing their job. Yes, ultimately, the helo is now taking responsibility. However, that doesn't mean as air traffic control, you just ignore them.
And also what you need to take into consideration, the fact that the helicopter, I mean, I just thought of this, and this is me just throwing a spitball out there. The fact that they were approaching from a certain angle, right? At a certain angle, even your port and starboard lights, yes, you'll see them. But the thing is, your landing lights, were they at a certain angle that they didn't recognize that it was a plane? Could it, I mean, this is just a could it, if it, whatever. But at the end of the day, if those aircraft were on close radar for the ATC, why did ATC not step in and do something before? You know when that island stops and you got like that little waterway, and then you've got land on the right hand side when they pass the last bridge.
Yeah.
ATC should have
split.
Yeah, ATC should have seen it and gone, well, hang on a minute. That plane's just diverted to runway 33. That helicopter's coming in, and there's going to be a conflict, even at 200 feet height level, or maximum height level for the helicopter. ATC should have been able to see that that helicopter was way above the maximum height level.
And Gail's comment, why didn't the helicopter move up or down somewhere besides keep going? To be honest, I don't think the helicopter saw the CRJ at all. I think when they said they had visual, they saw the plane behind it and thought they had space.
Mm-hmm. Or the one on the runway. I mean, the one on the. Yeah, someone mentioned. Sorry.
I'm still convinced that when they said they had visual separation, that they saw the plane behind the CRJ, which I think was a Delta jet. I saw what it was. I heard what it was. I just can't remember what it is.
What was the one on the runway? On runway
I don't
one?
know.
Okay.
I don't know, but they wouldn't have seen that one. It wouldn't have been that one because.
Yeah, I know. It was a stupid question at a stupid moment. Yeah. No.
I think the helicopter pilot saw a plane, but it was the one approaching plane involved. God knows the airport has dozens of plane on the approach. Yeah, I think they saw the second plane in line, not the one on final, but the one behind it, which would have been 3 miles of separation, which would have given them space.
Yeah, just a quick one. This would be the perfect example for that video I sent you.
Yeah.
Actual fact, this would be perfect for that.
I got to open up my I closed down my.
And I can understand what Chris and everyone else is saying, but the thing is, I mean, like, you're gonna go, no, stop talking about ATC. Well, I am.
It's at the heart of it. ATC it's air traffic control. Yeah. So just because an aircraft takes, like, basically calls the ball and says they have visual separation, does not mean that you stop paying attention and go, oh well, they got it.
Exactly. And here's the thing, considering that night they were understaffed, sorry. And admitted by the people in this Spawntrooper, that plane on runway 1 saw something. You need to figure out what he saw. His instrument panel before he was taken off, because I don't think they would have been paying attention to anything around them except preparing to take off. And that means setting all the, getting the autopilot set up, getting the height set up, getting the heading set up, getting everything else, and then yeeting it off into blue yonder. Oh, there we go.
So this is the.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have the audio. There we go.
Runway 1 cleared for takeoff.
Runway cleared for takeoff, American 2134.
So runway 1 is this. Obviously.
American 2134, cancel takeoff clearance. Supertain Air 0 Alpha, Alpha, go around.
Projecting the takeoff, 2134.
0 Alpha, cannot go around. We were already on the ground.
American 2134, you want to go back to the gate?
Do we need to talk to maintenance? But yeah, I think we're above 80 knots, so we're going to have to get an inspection.
American 2134, roger. Just go ahead and contact ground. We'll resequence you back. Super King Air 250 Alpha Alpha, Washington Tower. 0 Alpha Alpha, Washington Tower. Traffic holding at the numbers of runway 33 will be departing prior to your arrival. Runway 33 clear to land.
Runway 33,
American 2134, wind 040 at 5, traffic 4 miles. Final, runway 1 cleared for takeoff.
Runway 1 cleared for takeoff, American 2134.
American 2134, cancel takeoff clearance.
Right,
Yeah, this is completely on air traffic control.
Yeah, this is completely that is the ATC. Now, what I want you to do is play it from the beginning again, and I want you to listen to what he says when it says traffic at 4 miles. So basically,
I don't have control to.
Sorry, just pause it for a sec. Just let me say this. When you watch this from the beginning, all right, okay, he goes through everything, you know, and then he says the aircraft that's coming into land is at a 4 mile final. Now, you see the first jet take off on 3-3, all right, and then everything starts. Now, you've got the aircraft landing has already landed. So he's not even paying attention to that aircraft. He just assumes that the aircraft is still in the air, right? He then allows runway 1 to then take off, right? Now, just imagine that wouldn't have, you know, they wouldn't have clocked all this. You would have had.
And sorry.
No, go for it.
Finish your thought. No, the what gets me even worse is you can clearly see that they're like, we're already on the ground. We can't go around. And the pilot rejected a go around instruction following a close call at Reagan's National Airport. It's like, you idiot. Like, that's not what happened.
No, that's one of this is one of the reasons. This is one.
Someone said can't really reject something you can't do.
Exactly. And it's not just that, but it's the whole ATC communication. It's like either he wasn't paying attention or he was just rushing off to do another job. And look, I get it. ATC controls are busy. They are really, really busy, and I get it. But stupid stuff like this,
bad controller. This
can cause. This is one of the reasons that accidents happen because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just it was really strange. You know, after us three were chatting, I was like, yeah, I'll go for a shot. I like looking at these videos. And then suddenly that popped up. And I went, oh, I need to send this to Squid.
Yeah, I saw it. And then I saw the title of it. And I'm like, he didn't it took me a couple of times of watching it to be like, what are they talking about? Like, he didn't reject. At first I was like, what do you mean? Like, something doesn't seem right. I was like, the title of it is like, blame the aircraft. That dude must be an air traffic controller.
Well, the first air traffic controls, they threw each other under the bus for crying out loud. Anyway, let's carry on. Let's
get through this circle jerk of crap.
Yes.
I'm skipping these answers because if the question is like, just fucking pissed at these people.
You crack on.
A track that's fed into TSB, uplinked to an ADSB in receiver who was in visibility of that station.
Thank you, Kuzi. Colonel Fang, anything to add in terms of the details of the rebroadcast of MLAT?
No, sir.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you, NECA.
No questions, thank you. But there's not been one certified yet for equipment. Can you explain why that might be?
There's numerous reasons. I suppose we'd have to ask the industry, you know, each manufacturer why they haven't brought one for certification yet. I'll say the biggest thing,
don't care.
Organization standardize it, and then
they're talking about shit that's not even certified to be on an aircraft. That is something in an appropriations committee or a freaking FAA meeting. That is not something to talk about when you're supposed to be investigating. God,
you tell him.
Damn. Fuck, these people infuriate me. Like, if you want to see steam come out of my ears. Like,
now we know why you're wearing headphones. Ha.
Oh, it keeps the fucking brain matter in the head. It's already coming out. It already started coming out the back of my skull, or the bottom of my skull. It might as well come out my ears too. Sorry, these people piss me off.
As we were just talking about pointing out traffic and everything there, we had the as he's talking about the oil alerts and everything, would it also be as helpful to get a bearing for that traffic as well for you, either from the display or from the air traffic control?
Yes, for sure. If I got an alert, traffic, 3 o'clock, everybody's head in the aircraft would turn to the right. The nose of the aircraft, for those who don't know, is 12 o'clock, so 3 o'clock would be the right side of the aircraft.
Gotcha. So haven't flown in airspace. I'm familiar with it.
Wait, what
I like
were
your
we?
mistake. An aircraft will approach between 5 and 1500.
The guy from the FAA, this guy with the glasses that was talking, the guy on the far right, if Shizzy and Dr. Green from the ER had a kid.
Oh, snap. Look at
Dr.
that.
Green.
Look at that Frank McIntosh from the FAA. He looks like he's constipated, or he's like going.
He wasn't
"I'm going
originally
to
supposed to be
Harvard."
on this panel. They brought him up to ask him questions. He wasn't even supposed to be here yet. And he's like, I don't want to be here. He's probably thinking this shit's not important. Why are we here? Dr. Green from the ER is also known as Goose from Top Gun.
Oh.
So once you see it, you can't unsee it. Brain fluid from the ear. Yeah, brain fluid from the ears or nose is not fun. No, it's not. I've never had a CSF leak. However, when they cut open your brain, when they cut open the dura on your brain, CSF comes out whether you like it or not. So you have to deal with the aftermath. And that's 3 weeks straight of the worst headache of your life.
That full bird colonel.
Goose and Shizzy, I wish my brain would stop doing this.
By the way, hi JK Buck. How you doing, buddy?
Chickity Buck. How's the missus? All right, let's get this. This dude, this army dude on the left. I just can't get his face is like stuck that way. Does he ever change?
I wonder if that's his lovemaking face. Yeah, baby.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I'm gonna mute you.
Sorry.
Is he trash talking up there? Well, we have Phil Donahue's like ugly cousin, or like, you know.
Look, let's get cracking because like we'll be here next month.
So having flown in airspace, I'm familiar with it. I like Yard's mistake. An aircraft will approach between 500 and 1500 feet above the landscape for a pole or other stationary object.
It depends on the distance, but it's pretty likely. In this case, I was thinking about this last night, actually, the cluster of lights that were lined up on runway 1 versus the aircraft that was landing to runway 33. That's only a 40-degree change. So it's not a huge circling approach like a DME arc. So there wouldn't be a lot of movement in my limited 40-degree field of view night vision goggles. That aircraft might only move a little bit inside my field of view. So it would be very difficult to detect that aircraft coming off of runway 1 while it transitions to their right, my left of runway 33.
Yeah. Does the MVG help you pick up that movement, or does it help?
Well, I mean, it magnifies light. So anything that it'll increase the light so I can see a lot better, but it won't necessarily help me pick up better. I need something to judge for movement. So relative to where the aircraft was initially lined up, there's not a lot of movement to the left for that circling approach. So it wouldn't really jump out in my field of view in my goggles.
I was thinking with the depth perception there with the two.
Well,
would it be the same?
Yes, sir. With depth perception, it's primarily meaning above the ground. Like as I'm flying, like as I'm hovering at 10 feet, it's very difficult to determine how high I am. But bright lights don't necessarily mean they're closer to me in the aircraft. It could be just how the pitch of the aircraft. So if an aircraft has a more nose up pitch attitude, the light could be pointed more towards me and it'll be brighter, so it'll look closer. So depth is definitely difficult to detect, especially at distance.
Very good. And I'm glad you said that about the brightness of lights. Can you tell the difference, I mean, between a landing light, logo lights, strobe lights? I mean, those are pretty bright. I mean, the landing lights, in video, you can see there.
They are pretty bright. A landing light for sure. Different aircraft have different intensities of landing lights. It is not uncommon as you're flying through DC for newer crew members to call out traffic, and I'll look at my naked eye, and they'll say, I got traffic 9 o'clock, 3 miles. And I'll look, and it's over Baltimore. I'll say, that's about 40 miles away. So newer pilots, it takes time to develop that depth perception, and you can only really do that through scanning with the naked eye.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Army.
Just want to go back to that, not kind of along these lines here on visual acuity. So
that was a good
the
answer.
highest visual acuity is usually unaided when you're flying unaided in the national airspace.
So you asked me, sir?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
So
it says 2200. So right now, most of us have around 2020, depending on the age of our eyeballs. But we're around 2020, and the best at night would be 2200.
And with goggles, that your forward vision, at least through your mesopic vision, would be what?
So optimally focused, perfect sight picture with the green or the Type 6 goggles, approximately 2040, and with the white goggles or the Type 8, approximately 2025.
And your best visual acuity comes from what portion of your eyeball when you're at nighttime?
Which portion? You trying to get check right, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm primarily using off-center viewing because of the night blind spot within my eyeball.
Right. But your peripheral gives you the highest fidelity of vision at night.
Sorry, yes, sir.
So a combination of night vision goggles looking forward and your peripheral vision gives you the optimum ability to see objects at nighttime versus the unaided eye. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that's why scanning is essential.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you, FAA.
No further questions, ma'am.
Thank you, NACA.
No questions. Thank you, ma'am.
That question from the Army was actually useful.
Oh, perfect, actually. I mean, you got a good question. You got a fantastic answer back. You're getting an answer back from someone who's actually got the experience of using both types of NVGs and, who has experience with NVGs. This is what I was saying from the get-go, is how long did she have experience on either of those NVGs? Because
and that's, the the thing about it is though, like the last time that dude asked a question, it was like didn't pertain to the freaking investigation. It was, oh, I like this system. When are we gonna get it? And y'all can see, y'all saw the helicopter. They should have been able to see the helicopter, right? Deflection. This time it was an actual answer, like, okay, what's the vision of a pilot with NVGs? Appropriate.
Thank you, JKD, but appreciate that. I mean, like, because I did bring up the NVGs, but I did, I mean, I can't remember exactly what I discussed, but I kind of say that I did talk to people, and having training on NVGs myself, and anyone who has served, you have a difference between an NVG that's attached to your rifle or weapon and NVGs that you wear off that are connected to your helmet that you then bring down, and then you have to actually place them away or closer to your eyes, all right? And the thing is, depending on the NVGs you're wearing, you have to get used to the depth perception. And a lot of people do feel a little bit ill at first, and then after a while, you slowly get used to it. Your eyes get used to it. Like I got asked a quick, just to add this, I got asked a question once: how long does it take you to be able to see things at night? And I turned around and I said, look, you don't see shit at night. However, if you use your right eye to look down or look through a scope, okay, you close your right eye and leave your left eye open. So basically, your right eye, right, will adapt itself to darkness way quicker than your left eye will, right? And the thing is, when you got NVGs on, it's pushing light into your eyes. So when you take an NVG scope off, right, your eyes have to adapt to night. You won't see everything, but you can see silhouettes and you can see objects and stuff like that to about 20 meters, 20, 30 meters. Everything after that, and this is why at night you don't look directly at what you're looking at, you look slightly away from it, and then you can see it in your peripheral view.
Well, that has to do with rods and cones, and I'm not remembering my eye anatomy and physiology very well, but one is better at color vision and one is better at black and white. And when you see at night, your peripheral vision is better at night. That's why when you look directly at something at night in the dark, you can't see it. And that's why we see, something out of the corner of our eye. It's because your peripheral vision is better. There's reasons, and I used to know the answers to those questions.
And just for the record, and this may be very interesting, if you you can try this and it will work. All right, if you go out at night, walk into the middle of nowhere, a forest or something like that, but make sure you take people and take lights and everything with you, but turn everything off and then stand there and then get one of your friends to move. And I tell you right now, you will be able to pinpoint exactly where they are while have your eyes closed and just listen, because the thing is, your senses at nighttime, your senses heighten, your smell and your hearing heighten. Right, because obviously you're losing senses in your eyes, but your other senses like smell and your ears will then become much stronger. Just so you know, and that's why if you're on exercise in the middle of nowhere, and then you're laying down in a snap ambush, and then someone decides to fart, right, you can hear that fart from quite a distance away. Or burp, or cough, or sniff, like.
Yeah, Paul, do you mean peripheral vision is rods? You mean black and white vision is rods, and there are more around the outer parts of the eye? I used to know this. It's been 11 years. No, wait. 13 years since I took an anatomy and physiology class, and my last vision continuing ed class was in 2021. So, all right, let's get restarted on this.
All right, we're going to move on to, Board of Inquiry. All right, Mr. McIntosh, thank you for being here and thank you for participating in the panel. I want to talk about ADSB in and our recommendations and where FAA is. And your chief operating officer at Air Traffic Organization. Thank you. Right. Yeah. So the NTSB has advocated for ADSB in technology for a number of years. In a letter dated February 14th, 2008, in response to the FAA's notice of proposed rulemaking to require ADSB out, the NTSB expressed concern that the FAA did not plan to require ADSB in capability because, according to the NPRM, it, quote, has not been identified as a requirement for maintaining the safety and efficiency of national airspace operations. The letter continued that the board believed that this assessment was incorrect and that the equipage of aircraft with ADSB in capability would provide an immediate and substantial contribution to safety, especially during operations in and around airports. The FAA Modernization and Reform Act of 2012 required the FAA to identify the type of avionics required for all classes of airspace. It also specifically required the FAA to initiate rulemaking to require aircraft operating in capacity-constrained airspace at capacity-constrained airports or in, quote, any other airspace deemed appropriate by the administrator be equipped with ADSB in technology by 2020. And aviation, I'll skip ahead a little bit. However, the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018 repealed the requirement that the FAA initiate rulemaking to require ADSB in technology and instead directed the FAA to ensure that any regulations resulting from that rulemaking had no effect. Since the 2008 letter, we have recommended numerous times after mid-air collisions for the FAA to implement ADSB in, and especially since the 2018 Act, and certainly since 2020, not just for Part 120, not just for Parts 91 and 135, which we did after specific mid-air collisions, but across different airspace. In June 26, 2023, after our last set of recommendations on whether FAA was going to implement ADSB in, the last response that we have ever received from FAA on this is June 26, 2023, and the acting administrator at that time stated, "We have determined that our current ADSB requirements adequately address the needs of aviation safety and will not pursue any additional ADSB requirements at this time." So, given that, I'm going to ask, actually, also, I will, okay, actually, I'll get to that in a minute. So I'm going to ask.
Thanks, Heidi, for refreshing your memory with your A&P course book. I looked in the brain book to see if there was anything in there on vision, because obviously vision is controlled by the brain, only partially by the eyes, but, you know, nothing. So, you know. I love this chat. We help each other learn.
Does FAA right now support requiring that any newly manufactured aircraft registered in the U.S. be equipped with ADSB in?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you also support or oppose requiring that any aircraft required to be equipped with ADSB out today when operating in an airspace described in section 91.225D of Title 49 CFR Code of Federal Regulations also be required to install and operate ADSB in?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Just one just quick thing I'll just note, you might want to update your website. As of June 3rd, 2025, I know it was last updated, your website on Equip ADSB, which promotes the use of this technology. So thank you very much. Under frequently asked questions, it says, is ADSB in required? And the answer is, at this time, the FAA does not plan to mandate ADSB in. While technically correct, you don't plan to mandate it. Your position has shifted, and I appreciate that. And thank you for clarifying that. I did that all in my 5 minutes. Member Graham, thank you.
She talks
Captain
fast.
Clow, I've got some questions as far as where the traffic display is in the cockpit of the CRJ-7 that was involved. Where would the crew look at the traffic? Where would it be on the instrument panel?
The multifunction display, there are two of them, one for each pilot. It's forward in the glare shield. That's the primary reference for TCAS information. I also would like to indicate that there's a small TCAS message area on the primary flight display as well.
Okay, so if there was a traffic advisory of the sort, that would come up on that area?
Yes, sir.
Okay, does that display, the multifunction display,
stop for a sec?
will that only bring up?
All right, guys, I'm just going to read something out very quickly. All right. This is summarized. Photoreceptors cells. Day vision uses cones. Night vision uses rods. Color perception. Day vision sees in color. Night vision is essentially black and white. Visual acuity. Daytime vision provides greater detail and sharpness, while nighttime vision has decreased visual acuity. That word. Pupil adjustment. The pupil shrinks.
Also known as acuity.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. And the pupil shrinks in bright light, expands in dim light to optimize light entry. So the darker it gets, the more your eyes dilate. And also, if only one eye dilates, then you need to call an ambulance because that person's probably having a stroke. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Or it's if your eyes are fixed and dilated, you're probably dead.
I mean, I could go in through the whole thing about the rules of the rods and stuff like that, but that'll take it topic totally off topic. So let's carry on.
No. But I appreciate the quick anatomy lesson. Sorry, I'm eating my lunch. I apologize for 5 hours of streaming.
No, it's all right. Well,
it works up a little bit of a.
That's not a problem. I mean, like, first of all, I would just like to say to JKD book, in the heart, buddy, in regards of the spelling of colors. I mean, obviously, over here we spell it correctly. Just saying. Love you. What?
We spell it quicker.
Yeah, called laziness. What?
Well, no, work harder, or work smarter, not harder.
No, but yeah, I think, like, if no one has actually had, here's the problem of actually for people to grasp the understanding of what it's like to wear night NVGs. All right, I mean, the only way you're going to experience it if you actually contact, like, the police or the fire brigade or a National Guard unit and say, hey, look, I would like to know what it's like when you're looking through the two variations of NVGs or thermal, because the military also use thermal sights as well. And, you'll find out very, very quickly, like, how sort, and you'll feel a little bit dizzy as well at first, but you'll get used to them.
All right.
The range ring, and it's selectable in range from 5, 10, 20 to 40 miles. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So I assume you have a moving map in the CRJ7?
No, we don't.
You can't put a flight plan in and it follows?
Yes, there is a graphical depiction of the navigation track, but not really a moving map with map reference.
But you're not able to overlay traffic on that. Is that correct?
No, it is overlaid on that.
It is overlaid. So you just don't have to look at the round black ring, but you can look at traffic relative to where your flight track is, correct?
Yes, sir.
Does that give a pilot better situational awareness as to where the traffic is?
Yes, normally it would. However, in the accident flight, because the circle to land to 3-3 is a visual maneuver, they did not have a they would have basically been flying visual without reference to any navigational path on the MFD.
Correct. So that would make that approach much more difficult. And why is that?
In terms of flying the approach or in terms of seeing the traffic?
How about flying the approach?
Yeah, in terms of flying the approach, they would have been flying, again, purely by reference to visual landmarks. There would not have been automation or navigational guidance for lateral or vertical flight path.
So they would have been spending more time making sure they had a stabilized approach, I would believe.
Yes, the pilot flying, which was the captain in this case, his primary thing would have been controlling the flight path of the aircraft by reference to those visual references. Like I mentioned, the pilot monitoring would have been acutely aware of stabilized approach criteria, helping the pilot flying by monitoring inside reference to the instruments.
So flying that approach, I mean, normally at night going in somewhere or anywhere else, I assume your crews would like to have backup a visual approach with an instrument landing system. Is that correct?
Our policy is that if an ILS, for example, an ILS instrument approach is available, but even if they've accepted and are flying a visual approach, that they will back that up with an ILS.
Yeah, that's pretty much standard, I think.
Can you just pause it for a second?
Operators, not just airlines.
I can.
Right. A couple of guys in here have already said, it's deflecting, and absolutely. I mean, can you imagine civilian pilots wearing NVGs while they're landing? They don't have to wear that equipment because the thing is, everything for them is lit up like a Christmas tree. Plus, they've got the landing lights, strips, and everything else. Now, there are, just to make this absolutely clear, there are two different variations, or multiple variations of NVGs. However, for example, pilots mostly wear dual, i.e., monocular, right? On ground, infantry or vehicle, or they will use their system on the vehicle. But infanteers or troops, they will wear a monocular, right? Sometimes on their non-firing eye, or sometimes on their firing eye, because they then use their LLS to then pinpoint. That's a laser system on the weapon that to pinpoint the target. And then you've got infrared, and then you've got non-infrared lasers. But pilots normally wear monocular NVGs. And they're specifically designed for pilots.
Paul says, why are they going on about the aircraft rather than the helo, which is doing what they want from what has been implied? I don't fucking know.
They're looking for.
That's why I'm
they're
so
looking for
pissed.
fault. They're looking for blame. They're looking for faults because right now all the blame is on Pat 25 and partially on the ATC. But they're looking for discrepancies or blame where they can blame the CRJ pilots and co-pilots. But they're going to fail. No matter what question they ask, they're going to fail because that plane was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. And those pilot and the co-pilot, whoever was in that cockpit of the CRJ, were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. Simple. There's no argument about that. And to be perfectly honest with you, even this is probably the first time you're ever going to hear me say this, but I am getting really fucking bored of them asking the same question, but just formulating it in different words. I'm sorry, but it's getting freaking ridiculous now.
And Paul, that's why I'm bashing my head up against a wall, because I'm so sick of these people, because it's like, yo, stop asking questions that are non-related. I just can't. Like, this is why we're skipping shit. I'm skipping. If I find a question on stupid, I'm going to skip it.
It's a help for stabilized approach. Okay. Is there any SOP requirements as far as standard operating procedures of what range display to have at what range to have available during different modes of flight?
No, so we leave that to the pilot's discretion. Different pilots will choose different settings.
And do you guys have the ability to bias the altitude above or below as per the DCAS or a wide range?
There is an ability to bias, to set a preference for above, below, or above and below.
Okay. I see my time's about up. I'll come up next round.
Earlier talking about with night vision goggles, I think you said, depending on which set, green or white, correct?
Yes.
Based on the material you've read, have we been able to identify whether green or white were being used by either one of the operators of the Blackhawk?
No, I saw that 2 green and 2 white were signed out. I'm not sure which crew member was wearing which color.
So it's undetermined as of yet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I want to go to a question that came out in the group chairman report and it was highlighted, and I don't know the answer, so I'm truly searching.
Okay, this is another problem I have. From a freaking naval aviation side of things, I don't think our pilots would ever check shit out and you not know who checked it out for how long and when. So the fact that they can't figure out who was wearing what set of night vision goggles is like, are you stupid? Or are you irresponsible? Or are you fucking lying? Because our pilots, our air crew, our ground or our maintenance people, you checked out everything. Your name was attached. Like, I signed out a tool. My name was attached to that shit. I didn't let anybody borrow it. I didn't let anybody touch it. Like, that is mine, because if it goes missing, it's my ass, because now we had a FOD problem on the plane. So are you telling me you bring shit onto the planes and you can't account for what you bring onto the plane? There's two sets of, you can't tell who signed out what? Are you fucking stupid? Like, are you telling me in 2025, this is how our with billions and billions of dollars in appropriations, this is how our fucking army operates? Like toddlers who can't sign out something and assign their name to something? Are we really this stupid in 2025?
And also, I just want to make, Jeffrey, I fully understand what you're saying. I'm not thick, but just understand that I totally understand what's going on. Now, one thing I do want to point out, Jeff put a comment up there, right? They can't see stereo vision. They have to know depth perception when using it, right? When you put these things on, okay, if you actually get yourself a binocular, all right, and you try to look through them when the binocular is flat, all right, you'll notice that there'll be 2 circles. And what do? You bring them in at an angle. You keep on bringing them in until you see one large circle. All right. And that there is what you see. All right. So basically, when they're looking through the night vision, all right, that's what they'll see. They don't see 2 separate views. All right. They will see one big circle, if you want to call it that. I mean, unfortunately, if I could, I would try to get, I wanted to try and get, like, an example, but my mate hasn't got back to me yet. but he has a couple of pictures where you can actually see what the visibility is, or what the view is like when you're wearing NVGs, and that's the greens version. All right. So until I can get that picture, obviously I can't really show you, but you can do research and find it online. But
well, Chris, the only reason that I'm disagreeing with you is this pilot who's on this panel has been so clear with his answers. He was on panel 1, 2. Was he on panel 1? I can't remember all that far back. But he was on more than one panel, let's put it that way. Every time he's given an answer, it's been clear, concise, and easy to understand. If the pilots had 2 sets signed out per person, if they both had a set of green and white, he would have said that. He is clear enough with his answers, unlike me, who's convoluted as fuck right now. He is clear, concise, and accurate with his answers, where if that would have been the case, I think he would have said both pilots had green and whites checked out, so I don't know. Instead, he said there was 2 sets signed out. There's 2 sets of each signed out, so we're unaware of what they were wearing, or whatever he said. But his answers are pretty good, so the fact that his answer was not a good answer, even when it's not the answer we want to hear, it's still, there's better ways to put it, and he would have said they both had each color signed out, so I don't know, or we don't know. That's the only reason why I'm pushing back on that answer. Otherwise, that would make sense. If they had both, if each pilot had 1 set of each signed out, why not just say that? Oh, you want those? Okay.
Squid, I've just sent you something. I just sent you something in DM.
Let's start this again.
Very cautious and concerned in the early days of this investigation of whether that CRJ had what I'll call a traditional light bulb versus an LED light. We determined it did not have LED lighting, correct?
Are you asking me, sir?
You read the report material, right?
I don't remember which type of light bulb the CRJ had.
I can tell you it didn't have LED.
So it had the incandescent, that's called?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I call it a regular light bulb. Sorry.
Okay.
Incandescent. Why would that be a factor when using night vision goggles? An LED versus an incandescent bulb?
LEDs give off much brighter lights. The incandescent are typically dimmer and have more halos associated with them around the light source itself.
So to you as an aviator, would that cause a difference in how you might perceive depth perception and being able to get that 20/25 acuity that you talked about?
Yes. So as you see lights in the distance, like in that cluster of lights in the picture, the brighter light will appear to be closer, but that's not necessarily the case. So if an aircraft has a really bright position light or a really bright landing light, it may appear closer even though it's behind another aircraft. And that's why, again, I go back to scanning as paramount, looking with the naked eye to visually acquire that aircraft.
Is that, in your professional opinion, is that a deficiency of night vision goggles?
I would call it a limitation.
Would that limitation something you would take into consideration when coming into a commercial airport that might have mixed use?
Yes, that's common knowledge with all pilots and crew members.
Is it?
I would, yes. I mean, it's when we go.
Let me ask you this: does the Army have guidance and specifications saying that LED lights versus incandescent lights will appear different as part of their training?
I'm not necessarily sure if that's in writing, but as we're going through our night vision qualification training, that would be something the instructors would cover, different light sources and how they would affect the goggles.
Okay. In this case, we also heard earlier.
Once again, I'm pretty sure in NATOPS it would be in there. I know LED is relatively new technology. Angel, you just spilled everything all over the place. However, if everything is, they tell you how to turn a damn screwdriver to tighten a screw. I'm sure that it's in there, and if it's not, it needs to be. Because if you're going to be that specific for enlisted people, you're going to be that specific for pilots too. Because that dude did not look happy with that answer.
Here from the NASA expert, I know we let him go, but he was talking about familiarization with the airport being very critical. The left seat pilot of the Black Hawk, do you know how many times they had flown that, let's call it Captain John route down through 4?
I would guess hundreds.
Is that based upon the flight training records?
There's no way of really tracking that, but based on the hour level of the pilot and the time on station, I mean, that was the most.
Once again, is Army aviation inept? Maybe you should leave this shit to the Air Force and the Navy and just give it up. Because y'all sound like inept, completely unhinged idiots. I'm like, I'm seeing things. I'm like, how do you not know how many hours or like how many flights someone was been on? You don't track flight records? Like, how do you, what in the fuck is going on with Army aviation? You should just give up and leave this shit to the Navy because y'all suck.
To utilize route. So I would guess close to 100.
Right. Could you take it as a do out to try to look at those flight records?
There's absolutely no way of tracking how many times. I mean, we don't record our repetitions on specific routes. It would be a complete guess.
Do you record your data track?
You don't record your shit on specific routes? Do you not flight plan? Like, do you not keep flight data? Like, what the absolute flying fuck? I'm pretty sure if you went to a Navy pilot and you said, this date, this date, this date, where did this person fly? And the squadron would be able to tell you. This just, I am so appalled right now. This is embarrassing for Army. This is fucking embarrassing. Like, how do you not? I just can't. I'm just so like, how do you not? Like, billions and billions and billions of dollars spent on Army, and this is what we get. I'm disappointed.
Well, I'll take it back. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to lead you into it. Because you weren't broadcasting ADSB data, it would be very hard to find that data, correct?
Correct. It would not exist.
Okay. That unit had, we talked about 5 Stratus units. Is that correct?
I believe this company specifically had 8.
Okay, they may have had, sorry, 8. There was a recent article in Military Times that there's been an approval, or now there's looking to be purchasing 1,600. Are you familiar with that article?
I have not, but Colonel Flanagan shaking his head yes.
Well, step up, Colonel.
Yes, sir.
Why?
So it was identified that the Army is trying to be proactive. ADSB is not widespread, as we talked about. And we said, what can we do to mitigate this, especially with units that are flying in these high utilization, highly contested airspaces? So the Army decided to buy 1,685 units, iPads and Stratus units, and those are being fielded to a variety of prioritized units. Priority 1 units were completed at the end of July, and all units are supposed to be complete by the end of December.
And so that intention is to give your operators ADSB in?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that's better protection for your operators or for the people, the environment they're operating in? Because we've heard a lot of testimony about ADSB in is good for that aircraft, but if you're not broadcasting out, it doesn't help everyone else.
Yes, sir. But half of the equation is avoiding those areas and having awareness of what you're getting into before you're into it.
Understandable. But you also said whenever you're in low-level environments in that very densely compacted environment, you're not to be using the iPads.
Yes, sir. So it's not just like the iPad airworthiness release specifies. It's not something you're going to be looking at consistently. But my personal opinion, ADSB is more valuable before you get into those congested airspaces. So if I was taking the route, I haven't flown that route personally, but if I was, I would say, okay, we're getting into here. Let's get a sense of how backed up they are, as opposed to just qualitatively listening to radio traffic. You could actually see how backed up they are. You can even get a sense of where taking off traffic is departing to without having to infer it from radio traffic.
You know, if you'll grant me an extra moment, sure. In the transcripts were released, the Black Hawk right seat, I believe, made the comment, they're really stacked up tonight. Wouldn't that visual be the first idea that there's a lot of traffic?
Yes, sir. From Cabin John, we're at 1,300 feet, which is roughly the traffic at Wilson Bridge. I can see clearly down to Wilson Bridge and easily be able to acquire the target. So that would be a common statement that somebody would say once you see a bunch of aircraft lined up in the distance.
Thank you. Captain Surge. Hi. How you doing over there? Actually, before I come to you, Mr. McIntosh, does anyone have questions for Frank?
I like her tattoo.
Okay. Well, you will have to stay, Mr. McIntosh. But
I like mine better.
First state, the secretary's, this was essentially the secretary's first day when this happened. And I do want to thank him. I also want to, if you can pass on our thanks to the administrator and the secretary. Certainly, we never want to see action on safety after people have lost their lives. But we are very appreciative of their work and certainly support for some of our longstanding recommendations and then our urgent safety recommendation. Captain. I did have the opportunity, thank you, to fly jump seat with you a few weeks ago to see the technology that you all put in and piloted in your entire fleet of Airbus A321 Neos?
That's correct.
How many planes?
Just north of 300.
Okay, thank you. And just want to go back.
300 Airbus 321s. Holy shit. That's a lot of planes. That's a lot of people.
Is he wearing a mask or did he wear something last night and it left a sort of like some sort of like Moulin Rouge type of mask shape?
No,
on his
I
face?
believe he's got jowls. I believe that's just his wrinkle right there. I believe that's just a shadow.
No, I'm talking about Macintosh.
Oh.
Is he really a superhero at night?
Maybe. Hit them some high cheekbones. So I think this is this is panel 4 or 5. Once this panel is done, I think we're gonna call it a day because this panel has been driving me absolutely up a wall. Plus, Mr. Squid will be home soon, and he went to work today, so I need to make sure that he eats, showers, and gets to. I get to do mama duties and stuff. So, because he went to work to earn a living to pay the rent or to pay the mortgage. Holy shit. Oof, girl.
Oh, hang on a minute. Check private chat.
Okay. I am going to play this, but I think we have another like 10 to 15 minutes left and then I'm done because I've been streaming since 12:30 and I'm tired. I've been up for 13 hours already.
Discussions we had yesterday about workload for air traffic control, some of the challenges, their requests for more miles in trail to the runway threshold and being stacked up. In fact, I noted one ATC specialist in interview said when you have so many airplanes coming in and out of that airport, we were at one point, we were sort of trained to try to hit every hole, try to maximize or utilize every bit of asphalt that we had at DCA. And that also implied using those off runways either for arrivals or departures when you could. And that's just to alleviate the volume that was going on in and out of National. But I feel like because we had 3 runways and again, those off runways, primarily runway 33, when we're operating in North operation, the expectation was you can handle more than what I thought I really could. And that person goes on to talk about how anxious they would become based on departures, slots out, departures out, and it's taken away from my situational awareness. So at first, I kind of want to go back a little and I'm especially sensitive to people who may be watching, who may be in the audience who do not understand what occurs when you're landing on, say, runway 1. Without the technology, what is happening in communications between you if you're flying and ATC in the tower with respect to landing, those communications to ensure spacing?
This is without ADSB and using
Correct.
anything. It's typically the controller will use vectors and speed to achieve the spacing that they want.
So when you showed earlier, and can we bring up that the chart that I believe the captain brought up earlier? I can't even remember the exhibit.
2 Air Whiskey.
Yep. Wow, that was good. 2 Air Whiskey. Okay. All right. Well, so on that chart you had pointed out where there was some, at one point it was 5 miles, and then another point it was 8 miles in between aircraft, 7 miles. There wasn't really consistency and precision. Yep, there we go. And so, and you said you'd set the command speed, but maybe talk about the technology a little bit more about how
PHS.
You designate certain aircraft
PHX
and
is
you're
Phoenix,
coming in.
by the way.
Sure.
In case
So
anybody didn't
the
know.
controller in an interval management environment would first tell me who to designate. I will do that. And once I do that, information of that aircraft starts to come up. And I'm able to, in the case when we flew into Phoenix, the controller said, give us about 80 seconds. So we put 80 seconds into the box. The algorithms calculated a speed based upon that spacing. And we were able to achieve that spacing. And if you remember correctly, because I do, when we hit the boundary, we were at 81 seconds.
Yeah, you put in seconds and it would take you long.
Yes, it would.
Okay, and I'm going to come back to this because I'm out of time. We'll go to membergram. I am going to come back to this, though, in just a few moments.
Thank you. I'd like to go back to Captain Clow, if I could. What avionics package do you have in the CRJ 700?
No one
It's the Collins
cares.
Line Pool. It's the Collins. Okay, I assume so. Do you have just for my reference, do you have a flight director, cross pointer, or selection of both?
Flight director.
Flight director. Okay. So, and if you were to get an RA, you're not going to get an RA command on your attitude driver. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So, you did say, I want to reiterate the question that the general asked you, that you have no ADSB in capability in the CRJ 700, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And for Collins, Mr. Grease, the fact that if the PAT 25 had ADSB out, would that have changed anything on the TCAS display or anything else within that avionics package that would have alerted the crew any differently?
No, it would not.
No, there would have been no difference.
No difference.
Okay, that's important. And I need to reiterate yesterday what the FAA conflict alert guy said, that since their radar was tracking PAT 25 very well, the fact that it didn't have ADSB out didn't really matter or make a difference in the conflict alert time or anything else that was displayed to the controller. Okay. Let me switch gears a little bit. I'm going to go back to TSA.
Switch gears to something that matters.
About, resolution advisories, and you are tracking those from your focus.
Okay, I'm going to skip resolution advisories because we don't care. And once again, has nothing to do with if the CRJ saw the helo. Just a FYI.
And just for the record, I just want to say, if Jeffrey doesn't take this the wrong way, but I love you, Jeff. I've got a lot of respect.
No homo.
No homo, of course. Offer of reach around is there, but only if the right price is right.
Long distance. I'm skipping this because I don't really care. I don't really care what fucking avionics package they have. I'm gonna be perfectly fucking honest with y'all. I'm sorry about my language, but these people are driving me up a damn wall. I'm so over. Like this guy line of questioning, I enjoyed.
On this topic? Yeah.
Okay. So McIntosh, how new are you into your role?
About 2 months.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Usually when someone steps into a new role like this, they try to identify with their team exactly where they think the greatest opportunities are, where the greatest vulnerabilities are. Can you tell me what you think the 3 greatest barriers are to operating the NAS safely from air traffic?
I think our biggest thing right now is ensuring that our QA/QC processes are solid.
That is
quality assurance and quality.
I love that question. I love that question. That's like, tell me what you're good at and tell me what you're not good at.
Control, which is part of SMS and probably part of this next panel that we're going to talk about. We want to make sure that we're twofold in our review. First is compliance to our orders and our procedures, ensuring that we are doing what we said we would do and we're following those. But the other piece to it is risk identification. And the risk identification should help us from being proactive versus reactive after an incident occurs, any kind of safety event. So we have a lot of data, but we need to be smart in how we're analyzing our data and ensuring that we put in the appropriate corrective action plans via our own SMS principles, and also working with AOV, our oversight office, and making sure that we are aligned with SMS. That's something that we've already taken into account. We've already done a reorganization about 30 days ago where we brought our quality control group that was in one line of business or one service unit, and we brought it over. So right now our safety office, which used to be safety and technical training, we've moved the technical training piece out and we put it in a different office, and we're just focused on that one safety office, and that's to ensure that SMS is aligned. The other big piece for us is, and this has been articulated by the secretary and by our new administrator, Brian, and that's to make sure that we continue to hire controllers and that we train them the appropriate way. And then also make sure that we have the appropriate equipment to modernize the NAS. We are taking a look right now at least 10 markets where we can find identified improvements, not just with equipment, but also with some of the procedures in place to ensure that we have safety.
Okay, I may go back to you on the SMS in the next panel. So I was trying to hit on a little bit is the long-term issue of being able to acquire and adopt new technologies a barrier to safer air traffic control?
I think at one time when we were really budget constrained, it was a concern. And the reason why I say that is as you try to invest in new technologies, but you are stringing along over years, the technology benefits you're trying to gain, you move forward and you're not trying to get those gains anymore. What should be a 3-year implementation or a 2-year implementation is taking 10 years. That's not going to realize the benefits. And the other piece I really want to stress, approximately 91% of our budget goes to sustainment of the old legacy national airspace system. We need to have a higher investment rate to get to better equipped, better served aircraft, ensuring that we can take advantage of these safety technologies that was talked on this panel today.
Okay, I'm going to go back to them too, and I heard this from one of the other panel members. For DCA, how long does it take for the radar to sweep and update?
I couldn't tell you.
No, the other panel member.
Oh,
sorry.
thank you.
I catch up the hook. Started with it that way. I think it was
It just hit me. You know what this panel is for? This panel is a national awareness of implementing Trump's plan to upgrade ATC.
Sales pitch, told you.
Which, okay, fine. You want to do that? Do that in a fucking different. Do that somewhere else. Figure out a time and a place, a meeting, an appropriate like national defense, whatever, transportation meeting, like or there's a freaking committee for that somewhere. I'm sure.
Yeah,
but
they've basically turned a investigation of an incident where many people lost their lives, including some children as well, and they're turning it into a fucking sales pitch. I'll mute myself.
It drives me. It just hit me like, and I don't think Trump himself made them do this. I don't think he had anything to do with this. I think it's the people who want to do what he wants to do are trying to get people on their side, and this is how they're doing it. Oh, we need all this safety stuff, but we need to upgrade our stuff in order to get this safety stuff. So it's sales pitch, but like it's sales.
It was indicated it might have been about 4.9 seconds.
4.7.
4.7. How far is an aircraft going to travel in that 4.7 seconds? That's on.
They do. Well, they do for a lot of them, not for all of them. However, they usually don't have. I've never seen this. Okay, how to word this correctly. I've never seen one of these go on in a time when our president is asking for money to redesign and actually has a plan. Because remember, everybody said we need to upgrade the air traffic control system nationwide, but no one's ever come up with a plan. Like I said before, for better or worse, you hate the plan, you like the plan. At least there is a written plan, which is more than 99.9% of any other administration ever in my 40 years. Well, 39.999999 infinity. But I've never seen one of these act like a sales pitch, but also desperate times call for desperate measures. They're usually public, but like YouTube has brought on a different. They're usually public, but usually they're not filmed, and usually they're not broadcast on YouTube. If they are filmed, they're like C-SPAN type material. But now they got a pool feed and they're on multiple YouTube channels. And now they're on my YouTube channel. So with YouTube and people streaming and making content, it's changed the narrative on how news is out there. So plus this administration, we asked for transparency. They said they would give us transparency. Unfortunately, this is transparency. It's the shitty side of transparency, but it's transparency.
It's on an approach.
Calculation.
Somebody's going to get a calculator out here in a second, aren't they?
Yeah, I think the aircraft on approach speed are about 2.5 to 3 miles per minute around there. So if somebody wants to do the math.
Nobody wants to do it. I'm trying to get to.
No one can do the math.
Earlier,
They're all
where
too
they were
stupid.
10, 15 potential. Yes, sir.
They all their noses up
I'll
everybody
make clear, I
else's
didn't make this
ass.
in my head, but we talked about it last night for a helicopter, which is relatively slow. It's on the order of 200 meters in that period of time. So going at about 70 to 90 knots.
And that's going to be roughly half the speed of an aircraft, right? 120, 130, right in there. So not going to take. I go back to the simulations that were done earlier, Mr. Susky, and we talked about how many feet. With the current limitations in regard to the radar scopes, that what the tower is seeing, would that give enough time for an air traffic controller to literally make that adjustment? We were talking about technology, but I'm talking about air traffic controllers. Do they see information quick enough to make last minute changes that are necessary based upon what's operating in their environment?
I apologize. I can't speak for what the tower or the controller would have saw.
Anyone on the panel?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, can you ask that question just one more time for me? I want to make sure I try to address it for you from an air traffic controller perspective.
Yeah, and I apologize. It's more about, we have some amazing technologies that are getting into the airplanes, but yet on the ground, it's still 4.7 seconds to be able to get those technologies, whether it's ADSB. We know the limitations of ground sweep radar, and in the TRACONs, it's actually much bigger and much longer for the sweeps. Is the adoption of that technology in the airplanes going to overtake what's in the tower?
I think with ADSB in and with the TCAS updates that we're talking about, I do think it'd be much better shared situational awareness that's going in on the flight deck. Controllers are somewhat hampered by the time that it takes for the radar feed to hit the aircraft, the mode C interrogator, come back, give us an altitude reading. It's going to take a few seconds for that. A controller wants to be able to be proactive in every single instance. So anything that we have that gives us better information real time would be better, but we are somewhat hampered by the lag time that it takes to get the radar feed back. And keep in mind, the tower controller is also looking out the windows and should be visually acquiring what's going on.
I'll go back to that one in the next round. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. And just to clarify, Member Graham had asked about conflict alerting, but in fact, our research and engineering team is looking at running some studies and simulations on what would have been seen or not seen had the
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Doesn't matter. Like hindsight is 2020. Like I just can't with these people.
helicopter been transmitting ADSB is, and where I am looking at is there was so much offloading on runway 33 and so much discussion of offloading on runway 33, especially this night in all the interviews. And so the offloading of runway 33, because they were getting stacked up, weather technology could help improve the spacing, improve consistency or precision in miles and trail. And so that's why I would like you to talk a little bit more on precision and consistency there. When I saw your technology, and I'm not a commercial pilot, but I have a Subaru, and when I said level 2, it's better.
She literally went there. I'm not a commercial pilot, but I have a Subaru. That's like, I'm not a commercial pilot, but I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Kidding. When I set level 2 technology, right, and for people who are not pilots, they might be able to understand this. When I set level 2 technology, and I set my, you have that or no? I have better technology than you. So auto cruise control, auto steer, it follows another car in front of me, and if that car slows down, so does my car, and it has spacing. I can say, well, I want 3 car lengths in front of me, I want 5 car lengths in front of me, and I can program it, and I can go 50 miles. Which is what I would normally do without ever touching anything, except for the steering wheel that I have to keep on my hands on. And it's pretty similar because for you would punch in 80 seconds, you would designate an aircraft that you want to essentially follow, and it would keep you at a certain command speed, correct?
Correct.
There we go. So the pilot, how long was the pilot? What years? The pilot program.
I'm sorry. Yes, the pilot program was a 2-year program.
What years?
It ended a few months ago.
Few months ago.
Yeah.
And what's the status now? It's not continuing. Well, let me actually back up. What were some benefits that there were some reports that came out of it and some analyses? What were some of the benefits? How about with situational awareness?
So our pilots, we had our Airline Pilots Association interview the pilots. We also had forms. We had everything to figure out, okay, exactly how do the pilots like this technology? And to 100% of the time, when asked, does this technology in the flight deck increase safety? The answer was absolutely.
And with respect to go-arounds, you briefly said it could reduce go-arounds.
Yeah, so I have anecdotal data, and that's about the best we can get, unfortunately, because we're not sure what caused it. But I've had many pilots approach me and say, I could see that my rate of speed was much faster than the aircraft in front of me. We also have altitude differences. And so all of that information they could bring in, and there were a few times that, especially with the check airman, they would show the pilot and they would query the ATC saying, hey, I'm going too fast. And ATC would come back and say, speed at your discretion. And they avoided the go-around.
And it improves safety to avoid go-rounds.
100%.
And what is most people, I think, in the public think that the biggest reason for go-rounds is you're going to hit something that something is a conflict on the runway. What is probably the biggest reason on go-rounds that you've experienced?
It's typically a conflict. I'm too close.
Yeah, you're too close. Okay, great.
I have no further in this round.
Member Raymond.
Thank you. I'm curious. We've talked about this now being this collision avoidance systems being critical to your safety. You monitor that very closely. I think you mentioned you have a 97% compliance with RAs. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Are there times whenever your pilots are not getting RAs because of equipment malfunctions?
We don't get RAs when RAs are inhibited by
Loaded
design.
question.
And if the TCAS equipment is not operating. Correct.
I guess my
Two
question is,
words I'm going to
what is
add to
your
that.
standard for whether can your airplanes fly without?
I'm going to add 2 words to that question. Oh, snap.
That's a loaded question.
Loaded? Holy shit. He actually brought the powder, the freaking flint. He brought the.
I
He
was
brought
gonna
the
say
gun.
there was a bomb attached to that.
Yeah.
Like,
I
hey,
like him.
Dan, how are you?
Hi, Dan Davis.
Here's Chris. How are you? Here's Chris. Your avatar gets me every time. Like, it reminds me of Harry Potter.
No, you know what that reminds me of? Fraggle Rock.
No, that's Fraggle Rock.
Fraggle, yeah. I wish I could remember. Yeah, I wish I could remember that song. Don't take me back to 2020. Why? What did you do in 2020?
All right. For those of you who are just joining us, we are trying to get through this 4th panel before one of us ends up banging our head into the wall so hard we can't recover.
Yeah, I've already done that so much. I start turning my voice into. Oh, we want that princess. We want it.
You sound like Dobby.
Gubby got suck. Gubby's
Okay, I'm gonna start this. No, the mountain man on Bugs Bunny or the hillbilly on Bugs Bunny. Oh,
Without TCAS.
I love this chat.
Yes, sir.
1 flight, 2 flights? I mean, because it's a critical safety system. How many flights will your airplanes fly without TCAS?
So I believe that's in our MEL program, and that is an
And
FAA.
MEL is?
I'm not sure. I don't have it. Oh, for the minimum equipment list.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and so that's I don't have the MEL in front of me, and that is an FAA approved thing, often based on a master MEL.
And I'll ask my technical panel to correct me, but I believe it's 3 days. Everyone on the front, the technical experts are shaking their head. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But you could actually do better than that, couldn't you? I mean, that's the minimum, right? So I'm going to ask the technical panel, is it safe for a commercial aircraft to be flying in the national airspace, as we've talked about the importance of this, and not have TCAS working in the plane for 3 days? That could be, I don't know how many flight cycles, but
Hang on a minute.
I would say it
Time
would
out.
be
Stop.
possibly 20, 30 flights.
Time out. Stop. I just realized something.
Oh boy. How many rabbit holes are we gonna jump down now?
One big one.
Okay.
If they're going on about this freaking Pat 25 and this incident, what about His Royal Highness? I mean, sorry, His Royal Presidentnesses. All right. What about his helicopters? And what about the support helicopters and all the aircraft that fly around the White House when they take off and land? What about all those aircrafts there? What's the difference between them and the Black Hawks flying around and other helicopters flying around? I rest my case.
They're Marines. They're supposed to be smarter.
They follow the yellow crayon brick road. Yes, we follow the red brick road. Yes, we follow the... Yeah, no, but,
Somebody needs to make me. Where is Ammo's girl? She needs to make a picture that I can send to a few Marines of mine with the yellow crayon road.
Yellow brick road made of crayons. Yeah.
Yep. Yellow crayon road. Oh
No,
my
but
God.
seriously, on a serious note, it's like that's one thing I haven't heard anyone mention, because obviously these pilots, like we're talking about Washington D.C., one of the most protected cities in the Americanese country,
Yeah,
right?
Cal brings up a good point. When they fly, nothing else flies.
Yeah, all right. But here's the thing, though. There's always aircraft. I know they got like a dead man box there where you fly into it, but that's beside the point. The fact of the matter is, there's still aircraft being used. There's still helicopters. So what makes them any different to any other military helicopter? I mean, that'd be interesting. Can we get an inside look of your helicopter, Mr. President? Please, please, love you. I'll
I'm
give
sure
you a
he
reach.
would do that.
Eh?
I'm sure he would do that if he could. So, all right, let's
Sorry, I'll mute myself.
No, you're fine. One big Alice in the Wonderland rabbit hole. Yep, kind of like I have in the intro. Rabbit hole diver.
For the record, I do not take on any type of responsibility of that rabbit hole, and I have witnesses.
Ammo's girl, yellow crayon road from the Wizard of Oz. Instead of yellow bricks, it's yellow crayons.
Yeah, and how to confuse a Marine? Throw 2 red and pink crayons in the midst of it.
Oh, that's bad.
I'm not ignoring. Oh, I'm not ignoring.
All I can say is it's safer with TCAS.
I'm not ignoring you, Jeffrey, or chap.
No, because he said when he said something was Fraggle Rock, and I said, no, this is Fraggle Rock, and I brought up your picture.
Work your cares away, dancing for another day. Let the Fraggles play with Gubbo Muppy.
On that happy
It's not
note.
binary, but certainly I think a flight is safer when the TCAS is operating. So.
And so right now it's determined, is that flight standards? Who makes that determination that it can fly for 3 days without TCAS?
I believe that's the flight standards office.
Mr. McIntosh, you know anyone over there?
I do know someone over there.
Do you think you can make a call and ask a question?
Yes, sir, I can.
Thank you.
Look at
I
that
think
guy.
it's kind of
laughing
concerning that we start to
background.
read about some of these activities. We talk about the importance and everyone's shaking their head and agreeing. We all know it's a problem, but nobody wants to say, I'm the one that can fix it.
Yeah, I will say this. I do believe
Because that means taking responsibility, and God knows we can't have that.
I
Heaven
like this guy.
forbid.
I like this guy. Can I have one?
I know he's one of my favorites. Like, he's one of the best.
First and foremost, I trust our controllers to get people where they're going, but having additional layers of safety is vital to ensuring that we continue moving the needle and trying to be the safest airspace in the world.
Totally agree. I think there's
Oh,
some controls out there.
stop. Actual fact, I can solve that problem right now, Kojak. I mean, Mr. McIntosh. I can solve that problem with you right now. How about you contact the U.S. Air Force or anyone who's qualified as an air controller and have military air controllers in your ATC if they're military flights in the area? Take a bit of pressure off. Just saying, just thinking, just throwing a goofball there. Right, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, that takes effort.
Let's talk about, since you brought it up, let's talk about controllers in general. And right now, the FAA has an advisory that says pilots, and I think Alpha brought this up, you shall comply with any type of RA. Is that correct? That's what the manual was that they brought up earlier. You shall have compliance with all RAs, right?
From the controller perspective?
It's a FAA standard.
You referring to the AC that Alpha was showing?
Yes, sir.
I forget what was shown there, but for compliance in the U.S., the pilots are allowed to visually acquire the aircraft, and if they deem deem it not to be a threat, pilots do not have to comply with the RA.
Okay.
But they should not maneuver counter to an RA, and if they're not going to comply and it's in the direction of counter, they should turn it to TA only.
And just save a couple seconds. I'm going to go back, Mr. McIntosh. If a pilot gets a conflicting message immediately from a controller versus a TCAS, which one takes precedence?
So a controller will not interfere with a pilot performing a TCAS RA.
How would a controller know that the RA, how do they know which RA they're getting?
The pilot would respond on frequency. We're getting a TCAS RA, and the controller allows the pilot to make whatever maneuver is necessary. But we do not give counter instructions or counter clearances. There's a very clear case study that happened over in Europe where a controller did give counter clearances and it actually resulted in a fatality. So that is something we do not do.
Okay. Let's see one more time.
All right. Back to you, Captain.
Oh, now they want to drag in Europe.
You have the technology, not just on your NEOs.
Always blame Europe. It's easier.
Now they're bringing. I mean, considering that, if you look at Europe in contrast of the United States, right? You look at the amount of air travel that goes on in Europe. You got London, Paris, Frankfurt. You've got Madrid. You've got Italy. You've got multiple airports in a very, very close vicinity. So using Europe as an example, yeah, that's really for trying to throw a curveball. I mean, if I can find issues like with problems at that one airport, like I showed you that video, like I sent you that video. Okay, next time anything happens in the UK or in Europe, I'm going to download the NTSB report and then we can go through that and see what the differences are. The worst part is there's always life lost, and that's one thing I hate.
Yeah. I'm gonna these guys are okay. We have about 20 minutes left.
Roger.
I would like to not do this anymore.
To be honest with you, I mean, if you want to listen to the slideshow, fine. But to be perfectly honest with you, I think we're slapping the shit out of a dead donkey because.
Well, I want to hear the next panel, but like this panel, I'm done with. There is like 20 minutes left of it, but like this is that panel where I'm done with the circle jerking and the patting each other on the butt and giving each other high fives and saying how awesome you are. Wrong place, wrong time. I will see what the.
It's all been a sales pitch. I mean, like, here's the thing: if you're going to spend, like, these are like 9 hours, probably or longer. If you're going to spend 2 hours or 3 hours going over the same thing just in different wording, right? It's a sales pitch for quite. Look, instead of talking about it, do something about it. That's one thing I haven't come across yet. Is that they want to implement this. Like, let's start. We've already covered the budget for ATC and the FAA. Why is that not being? I'm surprised they haven't mentioned that as well either. And this was an unfortunate incident that could have been avoided. Uh-oh. What's happening?
What did that do that for? Well, there's that.
What happened?
It closed itself. The stream that I guess that means we're done with that for the day.
Wait, the stream closed itself?
No, the YouTube video.
You know what that means, don't you?
It's time for the final thoughts and to get the F out of here.
Yeah. YouTube went like, nope. I mean, you go first because
I'll
go first.
No, my final thoughts. I'm sick of a sales pitch and trying to it's trying to put it into words when you're upset. I'm not upset like angry, but like when you're frustrated with something, it's trying to put something into words that like I don't know how to put even remotely politically correctly. But the families are there, and you're literally talking about things that should be discussed after the final report. What can we do to change the technology should be done after the final report, not during when you're trying to figure out what happened. And also the Army, you're inept. I'm sorry. Like if you didn't think Army aviation was stupid beforehand and useless, y'all just quit. Trump should just take y'all and just pack you up or make you get rid of you guys and send you to the Air Force or the Navy. Like figure your shit out because y'all suck.
That is why in the United, don't even know what to call this bloody island anymore. Well, over here in the British Armed Forces, we have the Air Force. Obviously, we have the Army, and then we've got the Navy, and then obviously you got the mushrooms, which we call the Marines. which are part-time squibs. Okay, and then wait a minute, we've also got the Army Air Corps, and the Army Air Corps train quite a few people in how to conduct, ground to air traffic, i.e. like what a JTAC would do. A JTAC is also qualified. I mean, you can put a JTAC in a control tower and you would know what to do. So what I can't understand with this whole situation is that instead of actually discussing the failures and the problems on not just the FAA, i.e. the ATC, and the Army pilots and everything else, and concentrating on how to rectify these issues, instead of like putting on a sales pitch for TCAS and God knows what else, and trying to try to deflect and push the blame on the CRJ pilot, how about you guys get your fingers out your asses, take the money that you're given, right, and start implementing these tools into the aircraft, that shit like this doesn't happen in the first place. How many more people have to sacrifice their life before someone actually gets a grip of someone's man sausage and says, right, fit all variants, Mike, Alpha, Foxtrot, Lima, UH-64s with TCAS and all the equipment they need, so they can fly safely around without, this shit happening. But there's none of that.
Back before we had an Air Force, it was the Army Air Corps, and then they, for some reason, they broke it off, made it its own separate Air Force, but then still kept Army Aviation.
Do you know that military ATC controllers are way overqualified? If you put them in a civilian ATC, they would make these controllers look like they're asleep. Just saying. That's my opinion, because they are avoiding the fact that right at the beginning of this investigation, they admitted that they didn't have the correct amount of crew on that night in that ATC tower. So, a blind Chinese Irish minesweeper walking through a minefield could see what's going wrong here.
Yeah.
And they've spent how many hours now doing a sales pitch on the TCAS system?
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on that note, I am going to go take family time before Mr. Squid goes to bed, because I'm pretty sure his butt is tired and in pain because he hasn't even come in here. And I know he's probably feeding the little because she didn't want to eat earlier, and eating something, going to take a shower, and then probably passing out.
No problem.
I don't blame him.
No problem. I just want to say a big thank you to you for having me on again. A big thank you for everyone, and much love and hugs to everyone, including you, Jeff. And,
always. This is a team effort.
Well, sometimes I feel like an innocent bystander who's just scratching his head going, why are these people so dumb?
That's true too. So I'm in the same boat. Sometimes I just can't come up with shit to say, because I'm like, I'm just like, these people are so damn stupid. What do you do? Like, are they really saying this shit on nationally televised broadcast? Like, are you really?
Yeah. And the biggest issue is that people seem to forget that you may not see it on camera, but you have in the audience, you have people who had relatives on those flights. And the fact that they have to sit through all this, seeing professionals doing sale pitches and just avoiding the facts, it just bamboozles me. It just does.
But on the bright side, when shit, so I'm gonna share my screen just once, because y'all can see.
God, he's a Fraggle.
Yeah, on a happy note, I'm a Fraggle now. Hey, King Paco. When I say that I only pay attention to what comes up on my For You stuff, this is not one Jeremy video.
Oh shit, I saw that. I've seen that one.
Yeah, but This is why if it doesn't come up on my stuff, I like literally don't like. This is what I see. Like this is what I pay attention to. So like if it doesn't come up on my For You stuff, I don't.
You've got a lot of freaking drama going on there. Like, oh my God, Megan, no. No.
I love you. I love River. River is so critical of Megan. Have you ever seen River?
No.
So we're just gonna hold on.
Welcome to the broadcast, my dear old fruits. I hope you're very well. We are going to have a good old giggle at Megan and the failure and the flop of her recent series too.
See?
What a voice.
Yep. So I love River. River is awesome.
Very posh.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly where she lives, but she lives in England somewhere.
Well, that's her problem. I live in God's country, so welcome.
All right. On that note, I will see you guys. But you can see now that's what comes up on my recommended videos. Nothing. Well, one video from Jeremy, but nothing in regards to anybody else. I think one video from Shizzy. But like, if it doesn't come up there, I don't see it, and I generally don't look for it. It's football season. You can see my timeline was dominated with college football.
Yeah, I mean, who keeps on wanting to send me a freaking jersey? What was it? Cock Rocks? Or
Gamecocks?
Yeah, that's quite a scary thing.
Their mascot is cocky. They're just the glorified chickens. Beamer ball.
Yeah, do you know this tonight? I'll be very honest with you. It doesn't take a lot to make me actually, like on your letterboxes, you got that little flag that you put up when there's mail going out. Yeah, well, that's what's on my head right now because the whole thing was a waste of time.
Yeah, not the whole thing, but that whole panel, that whole 4 hours of day 3 was a waste of time.
I think they should. You know what they should need to do is get an independent body, right, picked by the families, and then let that independent body go, right, give us those billions of dollars, we're going to implement it now. Bang. And then get it done.
Yeah. Well, let's try this the third time.
Yeah.
On the third time's the charm. I have to get going.
Yep.
So, do you want to...
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Yeet.